Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is Mark Goldberg, your host. I am Mark Goldberg. Every time I make this introduction, I think of Andy Hunter, and I want to say something like, this is Adrikos. Man, I miss that guy. So, yeah, this is kind of like my new homage to Andy Hunter is, this is Mark Goldberg. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the show. You know, there are people who make an indelible impression, and Andy was one of them. Now, listen, if you are tuning into this live, we do have a topic. It is the one single vulnerability that Rolex has, which could easily and terribly destroy its price and its value. And certainly we're going to talk about that, and I will reveal my point before long. However, a lot of you will not be watching this live. You will be watching this posted up to YouTube later. And you may be the kind of person who gets mildly annoyed with all the chit-chat and the greeting of the peanut gallery of the people who are watching live. I understand that. So let me just get a couple of quick housekeeping things out of the way. First, if you are not watching this live and you don't want to hear the peanut gallery chit-chat while the room builds its population, then go ahead and scrub ahead 4, 5, 6 minutes and you'll get me into the topic. There is a focused topic to this live stream, which is the single vulnerability that Rolex has, which could totally tank, forever kill the value of your Rolex. Your Rolex, my Rolex, our Rolex, and actually it could take the entire watch collection market along with it. This one tiny crack potential flaw in the system. And we're going to talk about that. But before that point, I'm going to allow a little bit of time. The room is populating and building quickly. I do want to greet some people. So we're going to do that first, and then we will jump into the topic, as well as your questions, your stupid chats, your super chats, which go to the Negroni Fund, or to the Dog Food Fund. Please specify which. Also, I would like to make note, my buddy, my trench mate, my fellow watch collector, the uneasy alliance which has been struck between myself and Bear Clooney. I would like you to notice two things. One, go back and watch our live streams. You'll have to find Bear on the Archie Luxury live stream. Here's how I drink my pink drink, which is alcoholic. Pinky down. Here's how Bear Clooney drinks his pink drink. Non-alcoholic. Pinky up. And I have visual proof. Okay, guys. Let's take a look at what's happening in the peanut gallery, and then we will talk a little bit about the topic at hand, which is, what is that one vulnerability that could kill Rolex? And if I'm slurring my words slightly, it's the Negroni. People, who's here? Let's scroll up. Oh, and throw your comments and questions into the into the comments, because I certainly will be going through those. We will be talking about the vulnerability of Rolex, as well as your questions, comments, and your point of view. Okay, so we've got Niner, who thanks God. We've got Stefan. We've got Vasily, Eugen Panusiak. Hello, Mark. Hello, Mr. Unpronounceable. And Mr. MV. Valen Greymoon Fist and First. Valen Fist first. Respectos, sir. Big George, bring the rancher. I will try him later, but right now I'd like to share this time just you and me. But yeah, one of these days I will arrange it with the rancher. Niner, everyone is watching the drama. I don't know what's the drama. What's going on? Maybe you're referring to Oshin, who has a little bit of drama going on. But I got to tell you guys, regarding Oshin, let's knock this out of the way. I'm a little bit of a fangirl. He makes me a little moist. He gets a fondue cooking in my panties. I mean, Oshin, as those of you who have followed this channel for a long time may know, I am batting for the other team, fellas. And I would not say that Oshin is my prototypical type. He's not, on the one hand. On the other hand, have you heard that voice? I mean, does it not just, I could listen to him all night long. So, yeah. I have a tendency to want to like him. Mike V, good evening. Enjoy your streams. Recently discovered your channel. Thank you for joining me, Mike V. Stick around until you get sick of me. Oh, and in the meantime, fellas, hit the like button, because let me tell you what, it is really raunchy difficult to get likes on a live stream. I don't know why, they always seem to piss off somebody. So hit the like, and if you're joining us for the first time and you haven't subscribed yet, it's free, but this week only. Swiss Luxury lowered their Panda price by 10K this week. We're going to come back and talk about this exact point. Is a Rolex crash coming soon? Big wrist. Hello, amigo. Niner, you started with a half full drink. Time for a refill. I'll tell you what, look, you got to understand something, Niner. I am what you would call, and thank you for the super chat, I am what you would call a really easy date, a cheap date. I have one of these a night. Not even every night, but let's be honest. I have pretty much most nights. I have one of these a night. And they make me a little loopy. I'm like kind of, my dad's side of the family, man, they knew how to drink. Well, my dad's mother's side of the family, to be specific, those people, they knew how to drink. My dad's side of the family and my mom's whole side of the family, nobody over there really knew how to drink. So I really only have 1/4 of that alcohol gene, which is actually probably a good thing because it makes me a fairly cheap date. But maybe I will shoot ahead and, make another one when I finish this. But honest to God, I'm already a little loopy, which is a good thing because it's been that kind of day. Guys, you know what? When you have two dogs who are pushing 17, 18 years of age, I'm a dog trainer. I'm a dog lover. I'm a dog guy. Oh, speaking of which, before I tell you my potential tale of woe, once again, thank you so much for the super chat. If you'd like to support the channel, this is my second book, The Art of Training Your Dog, a third book in the works right now. This is available wherever books are sold. If you are US, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and all kinds of bookstores. And then if you are a foreigner, if you are not in the United States, you can get it electronically, any platform you want, or Audible for the dog lover in your life as a gift, or for you, or just to support the channel. Anyway, I've got two dogs who are my best ability to, the two rescue dogs that are about 17 years old, and they're in delicate health, and it hasn't been a good day. One of them doesn't want to eat today. When a dog quits eating. I mean, sometimes they quit for a day and then they come back to it, so please, dear God, I'm not ready to lose her yet. Just tough, just tough. Eric and Chocos Luz got a question. We'll go ahead and ask it. We'll get there. Which gin and vermouth do you use in your Negroni? I'm a cretin. So first off, you need a sweet vermouth in your Negroni, and I use Gallo, which is probably by no means your best craft, vermouth for the Negroni. However, the Gallo sweet vermouth literally says sweet vermouth on the label, and I think that that's very important that your sweet vermouth literally say sweet vermouth on the label. Now, I know tradition has, or conventional wisdom says white vermouth is dry, red vermouth is sweet, but there are only a few brands where the label says sweet vermouth, and that's what I use. My $7, my $6.99 Gallo sweet vermouth. And then what is my gin? Normally, I would use Bombay Sapphire, but I came across a giant bottle of Sam's Club Members Mark gin for like stupid cheap. And the reviews are good, and it took me a minute to get used to it, but it's pretty potente. It's very herbal. It's very, I think herbal is the right way to put it. Very botanical. I'd like gin, guys. Now, look, I do understand that the brown whiskeys are manly. I get it. It's not that I can't drink bourbon, because I can. I mean, I will drink an old fashioned. But there's just something about gin that is, I'm just a gin girl. I can't help it. That would be me. And I'm not super picky. Anyway, that's the deal. Liked and subscribed. Mike V, thank you for joining me. The rest of you should follow Mike V. Mike V possibly is one of the smartest people in the entire, Mark Goldberg verse. So thank you for joining me. My old man Riley, 17 and a plus year old mini Greyhound mix. Time waits for no one. I know, man. Speaking of Greyhounds, I've had 2 of them. I'm not even sure in my potentially semi-inebriated state I can talk about my Greyhounds because heart dogs. I will reveal something that I've never really done on YouTube before. But I have 2 tattoos. This is one of them. And let me just tell you what. They leave indelible, permanent marks on your heart. Dogs do, don't they? And so a long time ago, when I lost a heart dog, a heart dog. Sorry, rough day, man. Two really elderly dogs struggling the littlest bit. It's tough. It is tough. But a heart dog is one who touches you in a different way than just a dog. A heart dog is, one that hits you here. It's the one that a heart dog is one who is going to wait for you on the other side. And I've had a few of those, and I've got a couple now, and they're old. They're older than me. And so it's rough, it's rough. Dogs don't make you cry often, but when they do, they make you cry hard. Okay, that is enough. Gin will make you sin. That is possibly very true. Sorry about the extra emotion, guys, but I think you all know what I'm talking about. Vintinier. Oh, Vintinier, look, Gin. Jen is here. Vintinier, you want to join me? Jesus, man, clearly I could use some help. So give me a second. I got to figure out how to invite people, and I need help. So let me invite some of the Cardinals here. Give me a second. Apparently, I need assistance. Okay, there we go, man. That took me by surprise. I did not expect. I've issued the invitation to the Cardinals to back me up. I did not expect to talk to you about this today. Swear to God, I want to talk about Rolex. I didn't anticipate talking about the very core, of me. Gin will make you sin, no doubt. Vintinier. Well, hopefully he'll join us. Okay. Greyhounds are great dogs, knuckleheads, but great. They're funny story. The first Greyhound I ever adopted, I adopted off the track. Sorry, I'm getting juicy in the nose here. The first dog I ever adopted, it was a Greyhound that I adopted. She's off the track. Well, she didn't know any obedience. She never had lived in a home. Her name was Bobby. And I trained her. I won awards with her, or I should say she won the awards. I handled her. And, she was the first adopted track Greyhound to win the American Kennel Club CDX degree, which is a pretty high obedience degree. She was the first. So, and then honestly, she didn't like obedience. So I retired her at her discretion and turned her into a therapy dog where she woke people in nursing homes up from comas. It was Incredible, incredible dogs. Okay, guys, I promise you I'm going to quit crying and we're going to talk about, and we are going to talk about, Rolex and prices and what's happening here. I'm selling my Rolex Daytona Rainbow 2019 Eric and Chocho Sleuth. Wow. First of all, I would urge you not to do that, man. Holy cow. But secondly, how much? Tell us in the comments, what do you want for it? Because that's one of the most special watches in the world. Honestly, I don't think Rolex makes more than 10 or 20 of those per year. There's not a lot of those out there. The average AD will never see one in their lifetime, let alone, I've never seen one in the wild. I've never seen one in an AD. I probably never will. Why are you selling? You know, this isn't the moment to do that. I would hold unless you're just desperate. Hold. That's me, but I'll be looking for you, Eric and Chocho Sleuth. What's up with that? Tell me everything there is to know. Bright Blue Comet, thank you, sir. Vintinier, thank you. Vintinier, Jen, get on here, man. I put the link on the Cardinals thing. Sorry, Mark. Well, she's not dead yet. She is blind as a bat. But, you know, thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Man, it is freaking tough. I'm going to cry again, you know, Marcus Welby, MD. That would be me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Again, you got to tell us why. Oops, what's happening? Well, you know, I'm crying like a bitch. That's what's happening. You know what? You are 100% right, Vasily. Let's talk about watches. Yes, it is terrible. You know, they don't make you cry often, but when they do, they make you cry freaking hard. Hopefully we come back to the good old days when people don't buy Batmans due to not getting a high enough discount. Okay, let's talk about that. And then I promise, ultimately, we are going to get into the single vulnerability that Rolex has and how you could lose your shorts on Rolex. But I only know of one way that could happen. Okay, but let's address this. Batman. Interesting story. I owned the, what do we want to call it? Generation 1 Batman. And let me tell you what I paid for it. I paid $7,500, full set, box and papers, gently used. Man, those were the good old days. Those were the good old days when the pontiff said, don't be a schmuck. Well, he didn't say it like this. He put it more in Australia. Don't go pear-shaped, you know. Back the truck up. I'm going to put it in Jewish. Don't be a schmuck. Buy used. And that is exactly what I did. Well, who do we have but Rodent 3.0 Vintinier Gin, my good friend? How are you, Jen?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much. Clearly, I was struggling. Thank you for joining me.
Well, I never actually watched your channel.
Me either.
I just saw that you were live, and then you were talking about me, or I thought you were talking about me, but then you were talking about the other Jin. So,
well, what I was crying like a little girl, you know, like
it was, yeah.
So, I mean, I know you don't have human emotions, but I thank you for. Here, let me get that out of your face. But I do thank you for joining me.
It's been a very long time, yeah.
Well, it hasn't been all that long. I mean, let's be honest, Jen. You know, maybe how long ago was it that you incurred the $200 cleanup fee in my own personal Uber?
Oh no, like it hasn't been a long time since I saw you, but has been a long time since I've been even in your chat, let alone in the on the stream itself.
Well, I don't want, you know, here's the funny story. There are very few, I don't know, I guess when I don't think doctors watch Grey's Anatomy to relax. I don't think policemen or women watch cops to relax, and watch YouTubers don't watch channels to relax, and neither do I, you know? So I watch all kinds of other crazy things. And I don't know, Jen, you probably watch, you know, like interrogations and serial killer documentaries on YouTube, but not watch, right? Am I right?
I think that's more likely than a watch channel. Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly. But we got together fairly recently, and then unfortunately, guys, it turned out that as I was driving Jin home from the restaurant, it turned out that Jin is actually allergic to fish. But you have the problem that you like fish, isn't that right?
No, I think the problem was I don't know what was wrong with, I don't know if it was the food or something, because like or maybe I was joking that the wine must be poisoned because I had one glass of wine and then I was just like, I felt terrible.
Well, there was that
clearly, visibly terrible.
There was a little pre-gaming. Guys, what we're talking about is I'm driving up Lakeshore Drive, and Jin says at a point where there is 0 point, on Lakeshore Drive, Chicago, there is nowhere to pull over, just so you know. It's like it's like dog eat dog, jockey for position, survival of the fittest.
Although this was like 10 p.m., so there weren't too many people on the drive. Yeah.
Fair point. But if you pull over, you're basically pulling over into Lake Michigan, Jim.
Yeah.
And Jim starts yelling, "I got to pull over. You pull over now." I'm like, no. There's nowhere to pull
do we have to go into this?
Thank you for joining me, Jim. Appreciate it. Glad that you're here. Hey, Jim, I'm wearing my fist watch check is a complete crapper that I think I really might actually love, and I'm going to describe it and tell all about it. But tell me, what are you wearing, my friend?
I'm wearing the Explorer 2.
Find your little hole in your little screen.
Yeah.
Well, one of us is wearing a Rolex, and one of us is wearing this one. This is an Islander 101 quartz, but I'm pretty happy. It just came today, so I was a little happy. $250, so I was pretty happy.
Okay, so that's why you weren't you weren't fisting Dr. Ron about his shitters, because you have more, a lot more.
I have no room. I have no room to talk.
Yeah.
I have no room to talk. But what was I going to ask you? Oh, now, Jim, I recently received a 41 millimeter OP41 in bright blue dial from CD Peacock in Woodfield, Schaumburg, Illinois, AD, and you've got a deposit down for a similar watch. What's going on there?
I don't know. How do you spell CD, by the way?
That would be Charles David, or C period D period Peacock, as in the bird.
Mm-hmm.
And they owe you one too, don't they?
Supposedly. I mean, they said it'd come in May, just like yours.
We still have a few days left in May. Now, Gene, you've got the perfect public opportunity to shout out the good people at CD Peacock who took your deposit and owe you a watch. Make your politest plea for service. Go ahead, shout it out.
Well, 30 seconds ago, I just said, how do you pronounce CD?
Well, CD Peacock, that would be my buddy.
We can just cut this part.
That would be my buddy Jen right over there.
Yeah,
so
it was not.
What'll happen, Jen, is it's just a matter of supply. They've got your deposit. They will take care of you. But guys, this does bring into question the entire point of what's going on with Rolex supply. And Jen and I can both assure you it has not opened up. It is not easy, even to get an OP. Jen, you've got the 36 millimeter size on.
Yeah. So I thought that would be easier, but apparently not. Yeah. I mean, I imagine for the 36, you'll have some demand from women as well, or from men buying for their wives.
You're vying with a bunch of people in high heel shoes right now trying to get that watch. You realize this?
Well, imagine if I was trying to get the pink or the blue ones. I mean, obviously they wouldn't even take put me on the list for that. But
look, Jen, you have at least one fan.
That's 2 fans. It's almost more than you now.
Fair point. All right, well, Jen, you and me together, we're going to jump into the topic, which is, what is the one single vulnerability? If you had to pick one vulnerability that you think Rolex has, but what is the one thing that you think could tank Rolex values? What would you? Is there anything? Because I think there's one and only one. I mean, look, here are some of the commonly held truths, right, or truisms. It's been a bubble that'll be followed by a crash. Number one. Number two, economic uncertainty. Number three, horological reality finally sets in, and people realize that Rolex is just, like beater level crap, and just somehow or another people just don't want it anymore. Number four, supply increases. Number five, the economy tanks and nobody has disposable funds and everybody's bailing out of Rolex. Can you think of any others that would cause the Rolex market to just implode?
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with all of those. I mean, obviously they're just things that are kind of floating out there, not necessarily what you think. But yeah, I don't know if I would.
So what do you think? What's happening right now is that Rolex is reaching probably, look, it's very hard to shoot an average, right? Because every one of these watches is pricing up at a different area. But I think if you were to shoot it across the board, just shooting from the hip figure, maybe 20%. Maybe the market is down for Rolex, maybe 20%. And that's taking into account like all the way from Datejust to, the Panda Daytona. Is it coming back? Is it tanking? Is this the beginning of the end? Give me your opinion, and then I'll tell you what I think is that one factor that could take the market down, and we'll talk about it.
Well, you're really putting me on the spot here for someone who I just joined this because you sent the link. No, that's fine.
You're a financial guy, so give me your sense. Maybe even in the broader sense, is the world ending, or are we just hitting a little bit of a bit of turbulence here?
No, I mean, you definitely have some people who think like prices can never go down or can never go down like a lot. But I mean, obviously it's happened before, numerous times. So we know that it can happen. We know that everybody. You don't have to be a genius to think that to see that there's some or a large degree of kind of irrationality out there. So I mean, there can definitely be a correction. I don't know how much that will be though. I mean, I think that they've raised their retail prices. They've raised there's just been kind of general inflation. There is still lots of money out there to be spent. I don't know whether. So I think there is a floor. I mean, it sounds obvious when you say it, but I mean, I think the floor is not what it was before.
No, actually,
there's a higher floor than it was before.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying it because you know what, it may be obvious to you guys. You may not know, but Jin has a very interesting professional background that we're not going to like drill into, but I can tell you that Jin is really plugged into global economic trends. Let's just put it like that. And so maybe it's obvious to you that there's a floor, which is to say there's a point beyond which the economy, and particularly Rolex, which we're talking about right now, there's a point beyond which it doesn't sink. That may be obvious to you, but I don't think it's obvious to the punters, the people out there, the over 100 people that are with us, live right now, and the hundreds of thousands that will watch this later. I don't think it's obvious. But it is to you, and I would say I agree with that. So let me I know I've kind of asked you a trick question. What's the one thing that would tank the market? Guys, put up your guesses before I tell you what I think. Leo says the biggest factor would be if steel sports watches went out of style. People buying more dress watches like in the 70s and 80s. Fair point. That's not the one I'm thinking of. Haven't seen Jin in years. Well, the upholstery of my Lincoln and I have seen him fairly recently. Bought my watch after the 87 crash. Honestly, as prices are crashing, I think it's the absolute perfect time to buy one. I think what we have is buying opportunity now. Is Anthony from TPG attractive? I don't know. I don't know who that is, so I can't tell you. I picked up two Rolexes. Hi, Mark. I picked you two Rolexes from two ADs I've been working with. The blah, 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 Lunette Noir. What is that? What is that, Jen? Which one is that? Oyster Flex Back Dial Diamond. Okay, well, good. You know what? Listen, there's always somebody that hits the lottery and gets Rolex right out of the AD. That is the way to do it. Look at that vintage. Well, okay. So first of all, you cannot lose if you can buy from the AD. Cannot lose. See this man right over here? Right now, he has the deposit in. What's the purchase price of that 36 millimeter bright blue OP41? Do you remember?
I think it has to be like 5,000 something, right? I think it's definitely less than $6,000.
Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, the 41 millimeter is just a hair over 6. Yeah. And the 36 millimeter, which is actually arguably a little bit more versatile, I think its purchase price is somewhere right around $5,500 from the AD.
Something like that.
Yeah. And look, it was trading at a high of maybe 12, that specific watch. And I think it's down to like maybe 10, 9.5, but it's still well over the $5,500 that you're going to pay for it. And seeing Peacock in Woodfield Mall, Schaumburg, Illinois, fulfills your order, you know? So guys, if like the buying from the AD is still like a great deal. And it's Jin, you can tell the people it's a little hard to accomplish though, isn't it?
Well, apparently, I thought it was like such a victorious feeling, you know, when he placed the order, walked out, and they were saying 6 months. I was like, it's not actually going to be 6 months, probably going to be 3 months. But of course, here we are 7 months later, and we're still waiting. So, but I mean, I don't mind waiting. It's fine.
No, why? Really, why would you? What happened is you bought. They've agreed to sell you here, and when they agreed that, the price was here, and now it's here. But if they delay a little bit longer, possibly the price will be here or there, meaning the gray market value. But what do you think the likelihood is it's worth less than what you'll buy at?
I think it's very low. Yeah. I mean, first of all, I wouldn't mind if it went like, I wouldn't mind if they started selling for less than retail, because then I would just go and buy other colors. But I mean, like really, right? Because I thought that was a fair price for what I was getting. So from that perspective, I'm satisfied either way.
I think that's a critical point. What you're saying is secondary prices under retail represent nothing more than a buying opportunity.
If that's something you wanted. I mean, if it's like an investment thing, like for example, if certain Datejust models, because you see like old Datejusts, like from previous generations, which I think the bracelet, like the hidden clasp, that was actually a feature that many people like. So I understand that there may be some value in that people cannot get from the current generation, but there are even older ones, like 5-digit ones that are selling for obscene prices. Like I think once the kind of once those start to fall, I don't see them like recovering in the short term. But like anything that's like currently in production, I mean, I would feel that once they hit the bottom, they'll start to pick up again.
I mean, honestly, I think the only people who are going to get actually, and this is theoretically, the only people who are going to be not actually, but theoretically hurt by the current correction in prices. And by the way, correction means things just falling to the point where they represent market value adjusted for inflation, market conditions, and prior unreasonable increases. Just an adjusted price that reflects market conditions at the moment. The only people I think who even will be theoretically hurt are those people who did two things. One, bought at the secondary gray market high, coupled with sold at the secondary gray market low. If you did those two things, you've lost money. At its absolute high, the Daytona Panda, which is one of my favorite examples for like nutsy cuckoo pricing, it touched $57,000 for a hot minute. And it's trading probably more likely at like maybe $45,000 right now. And let's say that you bought it at 57 and then you decided you needed to bail and you sold. Well, you didn't sell for 45. If you sold it to a reseller, they need to make their own margin. So you probably sold it for 39 or 40. Yeah, you got hurt bad. But if you didn't buy at the high and sell at the low, you're just fine. Just hold on. It's going to be fine. Look at that. We've got Swiss francs from Watch UR with no question.
Is that Moneypenny?
I wish it was Moneypenny, man.
Or does Moneypenny get?
You know what? It's possible that could be a cry for help from Moneypenny. Thank you, Watch UR. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm desperately afraid that Moneypenny, my source from deep within the bowels of Rolex, has been placed into a medically induced coma using sodium pentothal, perhaps IV, and is currently possibly chained to a radiator in the basement of Rolex with a lot of ingots of 904L steel, platinum and gold. Just like he or she is laid out on a pallet, chained by zip ties to a radiator, kept in a medically induced coma. I'm really worried. Moneypenny, if you are out there.
Well, I mean, you are the you are the USA CFO after all. So on your next trip to the HQ, you should maybe poke around a bit and take a look.
I should go to the basement. Yeah. That's a fair point. Guys, what Jin is referring to is something I don't often talk about, but it is a bizarre situation. The CFO, Chief Financial Officer, for the non-cognoscenti among you, the Chief Financial Officer, the CFO of Rolex USA is Mark Goldberg. Mark with a K. Mark Goldberg, fellow Jew. I couldn't tell you if he's a fellow.
This is why you are getting all the watches, because they think that you're him. I mean,
but don't you think I'd be getting them from Geneva?
Maybe you like. I don't know. I mean, how do they know? I mean, they've never met Mark Goldberg, so they don't know how he buys watches.
You suppose Mark Goldberg is on the internet, like with a face picture? I wonder if he's. Do you think the CFO of Rolex USA is as good looking as me? And by the way, Mark Goldberg, CFO of Rolex USA, call me, okay? I'm not going to give my phone number out on the air because, Jim, as you well know.
No, don't.
Some very, very unusual people out there in the watch troll world. But Mark with a C, Mark Goldberg 8@gmail.com is me. Call me. Let's talk about this. Okay. Well, look, guys. Here's what I think. This was really been a trick question, and I've waited for how long have we been on the air? 38 minutes and 30 seconds with hundreds of people in the room. I'm going to reveal the one vulnerability in the Rolex market, which I think is legit. And it's not world economy, because the demand for Rolex is so much higher than the supply that we're really dealing with a very, very small echelon of people. And I'll tell you, in my personal experience, Jin, you're the finance guy, so let me know if you agree with me, but people with money always have money, and the worse times get, the more those people make. What do you think of that statement? People make money in terrible times. What do you think?
Well, I think it would present them buying opportunities for sure.
Yeah.
And they could. Yeah, I mean, if you have cash sitting around while everything else is on fire, then you can pick up some good deals.
Well, that's that during the Great Depression of the 20s and 30s, some of the greatest fortunes in America were made by, fire sale prices on real estate, just, as an example. In the Great Depression of 07, 08, I had this is very weird. You know, as you guys know, I'm a dog trainer. I deal not exclusively, but often with high-end clients. And what I can tell you is during the Great Depression, which was a scary and terrible time, I did great. And I didn't like it because I knew that so many people were suffering. And I really like to deal with a wide echelon of socioeconomic people. I mean, I want to deal with plumbers and teachers and not just millionaires, billionaires. But during that depression, man, the wealthy spent like crazy. They felt great. And I feel like moneyed people are always hedged against inflation in bad times. So, fellas, the only way that I think that Rolex tanks is when Rolex says we're going to quadruple output, we're going to quintuple output, we're going to flood the market. And I think that that's the only vulnerability. I don't think it's very likely, but I think if Rolex decides, hey, you know what, we're selling 1 million watches a year, but we have call for 8 million, 10 million, and they do. They probably have call for 15 million watches a year, which is to say they are short by a factor of 1 to 15 in terms of the Keynesian economics of supply and demand, which is causing elevated prices, reduced inventories. You got to remember, Jim, do you know the marketing budget? Have you ever come across that number?
Well, I mean, you're the CFO. I mean, you should know.
I can tell you exactly. The marketing budget of Rolex spends $1 billion a year every decade on marketing.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense to me. You look at all the sponsorships that they do, and you know, like Federer doesn't come cheap, and neither do those like Formula One races and whatnot. So
I mean, that's even more than that's even more than Del Rey watches.
Yeah.
They look to Fred and John. I mean,
but I mean,
it's a decade.
But it's not going to happen though, right? Like, okay, let's. Like you said, if they have pent-up demand for 15 million watches. I mean, it's not run by stupid people, right? I mean, they've been in business for God knows how many years, so they're not going to just go out and satisfy all the demand, and then what are they going to do? Like sell them a watch every year? There are some people who would love that, but I think the majority of people are not, you know, in that scenario where they're going to go and buy a watch every year.
Well, you know what?
Even if they're loaded, I mean, I don't think most people are going to do that.
Let me ask you a question, Jen. Consider this carefully now. You have a deposit, 50% deposit down on an OP36. And you're being patient, but you know, you want your order fulfilled. We do talk about it from time to time. So I know you think about it as I did until mine got fulfilled just like maybe 3 weeks ago. But let me ask you a question. When you and I walked into CD Peacock in Woodfield Mall, saw a few exhibition only watches, and then placed our order, didn't we feel a little happy that they were taking the order, even that they were just taking it?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like we were supposed to like get on our knees or something and
you
know, kiss the ring, because yeah, I mean, it was surprising.
And how would you have felt if when we walked in, the cases were just jammed with OP36s? Would you have been quite as anxious to spend $5,500 to pick one of 20 that was in stock?
No, I mean, obviously not. I mean, and that's absolutely what you're getting at. I mean, I think is obviously true. Like you can't, like back in, when was it when you could still do that? I mean, I think 2019, you could still do that to some extent. 2018 for sure. You know, I did walk in a few times, and you know, I saw the OPs. I liked the red grape that they had at the time, but I never bought one because I thought, well, you know, I could always buy that thing used, or I don't have to buy it now. But you know, now you have this kind of, have been presented with an opportunity that you think may not last, and you're like, okay, I have to either make it, you know, pull the trigger now, or I'll never get it. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I mean, I went to I didn't like go watch shopping, but I did visit a couple of watch shops in Milan last November, and I went to the place that sold Rolex. I wasn't really looking for Rolex. I was actually looking for something else, but they had Rolex, so I just popped by, asked them, okay, hey, do you have like an Oyster Perpetual? And they were like, no, no men's watches. And there was no talk about placing an order or anything. They're just like, get out of here. We don't need to talk to you. I think I was at another one in Brussels, and they didn't even open the door because they're like, we don't have watches. We don't know you.
That's funny. In Mexico City, on there's a boulevard called Presidente Masaryk, which runs right through the neighborhood of Polanco in Mexico City. There's more money on that street than there is in like the entire magnificent mile of Chicago, maybe. And I walked up to the Rolex boutique there. It's just Rolex only, pretty much across the street from the Cartier boutique. And I noticed there was no doorbell. There was no handle on the door. There was nothing. And I was there with my then significant other, who said, like, I don't understand how we're supposed to get in here. And I said, well, look up. And there was a round globe, silver globe, which I knew contained a camera. Yeah. And I just looked up, and I don't remember what watch I was wearing at the time, but I just looked up and held and then I heard, which meant I could push the door. We were admitted. Yeah. It's like a secret club, in some respects. So Watch You Are says, sorry, I am not Moneypenny. My text got lost. My 2 cents. Rolex is correlated to risky assets monetary policy to some extent. However, future direction. Well, I first of all, thank you for the 5 Swiss franc, but I personally disagree. And I'll tell you why. I don't think it's correlated to risky assets. I think you have to go back 80s, 90s, 00s. You could walk in and buy inventory. But for easily the last 10 years, inventory has been contracting. Demand has been skyrocketing. And I think that doesn't happen accidentally. You can't have a company like Rolex who can't manage in a decade to open a second factory, add a third shift, expand, put on an addition to the building. This is a very deliberate strategy to make the brand every bit as exclusive as Patek Philippe. So,
but you can still buy. It's easier to buy. Well, I mean, certain Pateks than it is to buy. Like, you can't buy any. You simply cannot. Like, even a lady's watch is difficult at times. You can only get like a 2-tone. If you're lucky, if you can find a 2-tone ladies watch. They're mostly solid gold with like diamond bezels and shit. Like, you can't even the ones that are like 50 grand and nobody wants it, right? That's what you can buy if you walk in a shop. Oh, nobody used to want them, but yeah.
They still make Rolex in like 26 or is it? It's either 26 or
28 or something. Yeah.
And even those are not in the case. It's unbelievable. People are even buying those, probably, as a we're not worthy purchase in order to grease the wheels, But it's so true, and it's very bizarre what you just, it's true what you said, and that is there are some Patek Philippe, like probably an ordinary Calatrava is easier to buy by far right now than just an ordinary Submariner. And here's the oddity of that. Rolex, conventional wisdom holds based on certain known facts. Rolex manufactures 800 to 1 million watches per year, while Patek Philippe is manufacturing by hand 80,000, maybe 100,000, if they're running a third shift. So it's 10 to 1. It's like an unbelievable advantage that Rolex has in quantity, but yet they are more exclusive than Patek Philippe. Why is that? Jen, why do you think?
I mean, I think the air gets thinner the higher up in price you go. So there are a lot of people in the world, especially in the past 20 years, or as time has gone on and China there are millions and millions and millions of rich people in China, or at least upper middle class people, and all over the world. The number of people who can afford a $10,000 watch is a lot more than someone who can afford a $50,000 watch.
Right?
It's pretty.
What's a basic Calatrava cost?
The retail price is probably 30 something.
So why are people paying almost that for a Starbucks when they could have a Patek Philippe for less money? Yeah.
I thought I haven't been thinking about the nicknames. Yes, the Starbucks, the Rolex Starbucks.
The
I was thinking back to your Starbucks, your save to buy a Rolex video where you talked about don't buy Starbucks, go and make your own coffee. Which was good advice, by the way. But that shows how far removed I am from the.
What guys? Hold on. Good, fair point. Jin is talking about a video that's about 5 years old that has something on the order of like 180,000 views, where I told you how to just sacrifice a few little things in order to save the money to buy a Rolex. And this was when you could buy a used Submariner for like $7,000. My point was stop drinking Starbucks and start drinking, Keurig and coffee, and in 3 years you'd have the money. But of course, times have changed now, and basically you would have to quit eating for 3 years. you know.
And then in 3 years, your $7,000 would probably be worth nothing at this rate. So, yeah.
Well, I think what's happening is that Rolex has created a deliberate marketing strategy to hyper intensify the exclusivity of the brand. And I'll tell you what I think they're doing. I've shouted this to the winds over and over again, but I truly believe it.
I mean, but to what extent do you think that that's intentional? And to what extent do you think that it's simply because they don't have any shareholders to satisfy? They don't have to grow. They don't have to increase production. And I mean, the exclusivity is a nice kind of side effect, but they don't necessarily, it doesn't have to be an intentional strategy. It could just be a side effect that happens to benefit their brand.
Well, I agree 100%. Guys, what Jin is referring to is that Rolex is not a traditional company in the sense that it's not a family-held private company the way Patek Philippe is. It is not a publicly held company with shareholders the way Omega is as a sub chapter within the Swatch group. It's not a publicly held company. So it's not privately held, it's not publicly held. What the hell is Rolex, Jim?
A criminal organization. Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. So what they are, guys, which may just be legalized organized crime, and that is they are a privately held foundation incorporated under the aegis of the Swiss nonprofit foundation status. And as we know, Switzerland has some of the most onerous private banking laws out there. So basically, they have the secrecy of the Swiss banking laws on their side, and they're a foundation, which means they are accountable to no one. Flowerhorndepot.com says a little donation for our animal friends. Thank you for the $10. Curious to know your guys' input with the Oyster Flex Daytona 1165 NT 19 LN. That's the black dial diamond for the next 5 years. Well, Jen, you got an opinion on that's white gold Oyster Flex with baguettes.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm curious to know whether he's talking about value, which honestly I don't follow at all, so I don't know, or have any thoughts, or just the watch itself. I mean, obviously
these guys never want to know about the horology of the damn watch. They want to know about the investment potential. That is always the point.
So is this an investment channel now?
No, it brings to mind a point, guys. Like, I mean, I can't tell you what to do with your money, but I can tell you this much. If you have a shot Flowerhorndepot.com. If you've got a shot at that watch at MSRP, it's like a literal no-brainer. It's a complete win. If you have a shot at it gray market, as anybody would, it's a matter of trying to time the market. Have we hit the bottom of the trough? That's guesswork. I can tell you what, it's probably 15, 20% cheaper, maybe 22% cheaper than it was 3 months ago. Are you asking me what it's going to be like in 3 years? I think your money will be safe. If you can buy it from your AD, it's like buying Ford at like prices from 1937. It's a very, very, very safe bet. Okay. Well, guys, I don't know. I don't really feel like the likelihood is very high that Rolex is going to say, "Hey, we are going to all of a sudden quintuple our production and flood the market." I think it's very unlikely. Jin, you were questioning whether it was a deliberate strategy on the part of Rolex or whether it was just something that kind of fell into because they don't have shareholders that they're responsible to. Now, as a financial whiz kid, I'm sure that you many times in your career have felt the corporate pressure to match earnings from previous quarters, previous years. Is it not a truism that in business, in a traditionally held company, whether private or public, profit is king, and everybody wants a long-range strategy which builds profit year over year? Is that even, doesn't that even go without saying? Profit, money is king, profits are king.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And you're right. I think the reason obviously the people who run Rolex are not stupid. They don't want to stand still in time, right? Either, because
Rancher, real quick, Rancher, the link is in the Cardinals. So come on in, Rancher. Hit the link in the Cardinals in our WhatsApp.
Like they don't want to stand like still in time and be eclipsed by others or just fall by the wayside, right? They have to stay relevant. So it's not like I don't think they're like opposed to increasing production, but when you look at number of units produced, they're still among the leaders. So they don't have to be producing more units than their competitors.
I think they love it. I think they love it the way it is. I think they want that Patek level exclusivity. They're working their prices up to Patek level. They are allowing the gray market to lift. Rancher, thank you for joining us. He's in the lobby. I'm going to let him in as soon as I make this point. The three of us together again. Jin, it's awesome. But the point I'm trying to make, guys, real quick, before the Rancher comes in and moves his way through the entire thing. I'm so glad he's here. But listen, here's the thing. Rolex is positioning themselves carefully, quietly to become the next Patek, and they're taking Tudor and making it the next Rolex. Do you know it's like a 1 year wait now to get the Tudor Panda chronograph, which the Rancher sold me. Rancher, did you or did you not sell me your Tudor Panda chronograph?
What are you talking about?
You know you did. Come on, fess up.
No.
Was that a hard watch to get? I mean, you didn't keep it too terribly long. But how was it to acquire?
It was actually the first, maybe the only one in my state. So, yeah. Means to an end. I'm actually still in the middle of consolidating. So this last weekend, I think 5 or 6, and hoping for a few more this weekend.
Big Black Clock says you're a flipper, Rancher. What's your response there?
Big Black Clock. I got to be very, very careful in how I say that.
You do. Say it fast. I mean, he says it like it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Who among us does not like to experience a lot of watches? And who among us has $1 million other than producer Michael to just buy them all and hold them all? We have to cycle through our watches in order to experience the rainbow that is the horological universe. Don't you think, Clydesy?
Well, I think so. And Rich Betty is saying Rancher will moo if you bring up prices. Well, Rich Buddy, actually, I don't know if you know this, but I think Hotsy is probably your biggest fan. So I think, yeah. Now, okay. Now, on the other hand, if you go to a watch and you buy it, to me, flipper is when that's your primary reason for getting or it's even a strong secondary reason if you do that for getting the watch in the first place. And there have been times where I have went in, I've fallen for hype, I didn't listen to myself, I was not true to myself.
Yeah, I feel like that was you and the blue Tudor, the Black Bay blue. You acquired because it was hard and you could, and then you tried it and you were like, yeah.
Well, like which one are we talking about?
When you got the Black Bay blue.
He
needed the money.
I mean, I think to be a flipper, it kind of implies like a profit motive, right? I don't think. Well, obviously, I don't know because I don't know. I don't have the time nor the knowledge to sift through all of Rancher's watch purchases and sales. But I don't think I would be very surprised if he was consistently making good profits off of his sales. It's just more like, yeah.
Where he's been, Jin, where the Rancher has done well are those watches which he got out of the morgue, which are basically like 1960s chronographs that he bought for $200 when they were unpopular. And now they're like $3,000. That's where the Rancher has really done well. But that wasn't flipping. That was collecting and amassing a collection and then thinning the herd. Don't you think, Clydesy?
A little bit. And McKinley's joining us. Remember him?
I do. Where is he? Look at McKinley. McKinley, hang on. Clyde, would you send McKinley the link? Let's see if we can get the boy in.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not going to try to get you in the boy. I'm not going to try to get the boy in.
Don't scare him away before we get him into the peanut gallery. Just send him the link. You know what to do. And Mackenzie, we will see you shortly. Okay. So really what I think is this, I think, here's do I think there's a conspiracy? I think there's a conspiracy at work here, people. And here's what I think it is. I think that Rolex is investing incredible crap loads of money building demand while they are maintaining supply at relatively low levels so that they can position the brand above Patek Philippe, raise the prices up. Part of this conspiracy is they are allowing the gray market to raise the tide. All the while they're jacking their own prices up once or even twice per year and bringing Tudor along as the new Rolex. You now have to wait to buy a Tudor. You have to interview to buy a Tudor. When was that ever a thing? It's as hard to buy Tudor now as it was to buy Rolex in 2015. Who disagrees with me? Come at me, bro.
But isn't it? I mean, do you think they need to position them? Do you think they really view themselves against Patek and think, oh, well, we need to be above them? Because if you look at like the general populace, everybody knows Rolex, and that's kind of the number one kind of aspirational brand, I would say, for probably 98% of the population, if they care enough to, if they care and want to buy that. So it's like, I don't feel that they really, there is a certain subsegment of the population, I would say, kind of, obviously the people who are kind of the capitalist class, if you will, the people, or the old money who've been kind of surrounded by Patek or kind of fine objects their whole life. And then maybe you have certain people who are kind of maybe upper middle class, but approaching a point in their life where they want to buy like an heirloom to feel like they've really accomplished something in their life. And I think it's a very different kind of buyer. Whereas Rolex, it's like, somebody wants to buy a celebratory object to kind of make it to feel like, I've made it in life or whatever.
Jen, I think we are looking at we're both of us are looking at an elephant. You've got it by the trunk, I have it by the tail, and so we're seeing it differently.
Of course, you have it by the tail.
But what if it's the same thing? And let me tell you how that could be. Riddle me this, Riddler, Batman. That Patek Philippe buyer that you're talking about, that old money who just made of money, looking to buy like the heirloom for the next generation. How many of those people are there? Versus that Rolex buyer making that aspirational buy. Which is the larger demographic?
Well, I mean, obviously Rolex is the bigger demographic.
Right. So what if you could convince that larger demographic that what they should reach for is the brass ring, which is just out of reach, not the one that is completely out of reach? What if you could convince that segment of the population that Rolex is the watch to have, and that Patek Philippe, Vacheron et Constantin, Aldimal, Piguet, all these words that hurt your mouth, they are nobody and nothing. What if Hans Wilsdorf designed a word that trips off the tongue of any language, from glottal all the way up through tonal, from Thailand all the way through Israel? What if Rolex? What if Rolex, just by virtue of strategy, has thought of a way that they could supplant Patek Philippe, not with horology, but with price and exclusivity? What would the result be? A watch into which they invest this much and sell for that much. What a business plan. Would that not be bright?
Yeah. I mean, it would be a very Rolex thing to do.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, buy low, sell high, build low, sell high. Like didn't I just describe the entire economic model of capitalism?
Is that the next step, though, you think? Is that do you see, like, I think Patek has intentionally been not only very conscious of their heritage, but really embraced it and made it part of the present day identity as far as like marketing and kind of brand presence goes. They are, they're going to back all of their watches at auction. They have the museum, they have all this other stuff. Whereas Rolex, it almost seems like, yes, they sometimes pay homage to the past by releasing kind of, the new Pepsi, for example, or whatever. But it almost feels like they don't really embrace the past as much as they did before. It's almost like every new watch is a better version of the previous one in almost all cases. Maybe like the 39 mil Explorer one or the Datejust 2, they're like, okay, we made a mistake here. We're going to go back to some.
Walk it back.
Yeah, but it feels like if you want to create something and position it as like an heirloom item and something that I don't know if they're going to go after that element of Patek, because I think there's not enough deference to history in order to the.
Well, okay, but look at it like this. What you're referring to is that Patek ethos that they've created with marketing, very brilliant, which says you never really own a Patek. Yes. You really look after it for the next generation. But with Rolex, can we not say you never really own your place on the Rolex wait list? You merely look after it for the next generation.
Is it like Green Bay Packers season tickets or something then?
I mean, right.
Get on the list at birth.
You better adopt a kid right away, or you won't have anybody to leave that place on the OP36 waiting list over there at CD Peacock. You won't have anybody to leave it to except for me.
Yeah.
Rancher, would you talk with Jen for like 2 minutes while I close my drapes? Because, I'm going to leave this in the capable hands of the Rancher and Jen for just a moment. I'm pulling an Archie. I'm not going to the bathroom, though.
Sure, he's not going to the bathroom.
I promise.
So, actually, I'm surprised to see you back on the tubes of you.
I am surprised to see myself on as well. I was on YouTube.
Have you let yourself sober up again?
Don't be ridiculous, Vlad.
I actually have a flight in a couple hours, so I do have to go at some point. But I mean, I was just on YouTube. I saw Mark was live streaming, and then I happened to say something in the chat, and then he noticed me. I mean, I haven't even posted in this chat in a long time. But yeah, we had a very heartfelt tribute to some important figures in Mark's life earlier in the channel, or earlier in the stream. So yeah, I decided to come on for a bit.
Cool.
Right back. I'm just sort of like slopping Negroni materials into a glass.
And actually, I don't know. And to hear Mark talk about your place on the Rolex waiting list, how many people are actually saying, knowing what the pieces Mark has picked up, are actually saying, "Screw you, Mark. Screw you."
Well, they
don't hate the game. Don't hate the player.
Being the CFO does come with some perks, right? You know.
Thank you, Jen. I appreciate the vote of confidence. So listen, this was a Negroni, by the way, guys, is a very carefully measured thing. You have to absolutely, it's equal parts Campari, sweet vermouth, and gin, and I just sort of didn't have a lot of time, so I just slopped it into, and then I stirred with a finger, and so I don't know how this is going to go, but at least I'm not crying on camera. Clyde, I don't know if you noticed, but I got a little verklempt before you got on here.
Most of the time you get verklempt after I come on.
Listen, guys, would somebody let me know when the Pontiff goes live? Because I have a small dream. This isn't, this wasn't anything that was predetermined. But what do you think, Clyde and Jin, if the three of us go on together onto the Pontiff for just like 5 or 10 minutes to just say, hey, can't believe you're still alive. Hope you don't die anytime soon. What do you think? Could we go together just for a few minutes?
When?
Let's see.
Can we do it?
Well, it's time to come on.
I mean, listen, if Bear Clooney and I can share airtime and tolerate one another for an hour, can't the three of us go on there for 5 or 10 minutes and just say, yo, what's up? We will need the punters in the audience to tell us when Archie goes live, because honestly, I don't know exactly what time he goes on. But what do you think? He's live now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, let me ask him for
No, I'm not interested in going. Well, I mean, of course, I'm not going to stop you, but
but I would say as a personal favor, 5 minutes. Show your face. What do you think?
No, I mean, first of all, as I said, I have a flight in a couple hours, so I do have to.
Where are you going?
Have to go. Huh?
Where are you going?
I'm going to. I'll be in LA tomorrow, and then I'm going to Hilo, Hawaii, in day after. Yeah, should be.
Because the rancher's going to go. You, me, the rancher. Come on.
No, I have already. The reason I'm here is because I was never a fixture on your channel, right? I already was there. I was just a viewer and a fan of your channel. On Archie's channel, I was an employee. I've left, and now it's time to. By the way, viewers, don't think that employee means that I was paid. I was not paid.
I was just going to say, did you ever?
I was actually, I was paying him. I paid him a lot more than the $0 he's ever paid me.
Are you saying?
But yeah, but
you're
no, but I was basically an employee. So I don't want to go back to where I am no longer an employee.
Jin, you were an employee the same way as those poor people who were forced to dig the railroad. The first set of railroads were an employee, virtually unpaid, abused.
Yeah, I was going to compare with the the Qatar construction workers, but I think it's the exact same kind of.
You're basically an OFW. You're a Korean overseas foreign worker.
Yeah.
Clyde, you're muted right now. But tell me, if I was to pop over to the Pontiff for a moment, would you go with me? He's got to unmute himself to tell me. I think I have a button where I can ask him to unmute himself. There he is. Wait a second. You'll go with me? Yes, you'll go with me, or no? Hell no, I won't go. Which is it, Clydesy?
I'll go if Jen goes.
Oh, Jen's just come on, Jen. What do you
I
say?
have to go.
Yeah.
I actually have to go. I have to pack. I have to. No, I really have to go. I mean, I spent more time here than I needed to.
I wanna thank the Gin Tingler for having joined us. Vin Tenier, the one, the only, my buddy, my friend, my Uber. You know, Jen, I'm only giving you a 1-star review from my Uber reviews. However, I love you dearly, and I can't wait. You know, we're gonna have to go out to dinner again, but you know, just please don't order fish.
Yeah, believe me. Yeah.
But when you come back from Hawaii, give me a buzz. I know we'll be in touch, but give me a buzz, and we'll meet up somewhere and hang out.
For sure.
Hopefully at CD Peacock. I'd like to join you for a Negroni at the Texas.
Me too.
No,
I watch them call me while I'm in Hawaii, and then I'll be like, shit. I'll be like, they're anxious about.
Yeah.
Hotzi is backing up Ving's decision.
Is she? Craig Schlitt's ready to go with us. Listen, if Jen,
right after that,
Jen, if they call while you're gone, they'll either hold it, or if there's a problem with that, you tell them to call me. They know me. Tell them to call me, and I'll run over there and pay for it. You just let me know what you need.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure I could pay over the phone as well. So I don't think it's a.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it and then resell to you at a small, premium.
A small $3,000 premium.
No, that's reasonable.
I'm joking.
I would just be like, one of these guys. What I want a point a week. That's all. The VIG is a point a week. It's not a lot, right, guys?
There are really no waiting lists, just preferred customer lists.
Look, see, you have
like saying there are no gas chambers, only showers.
You can always count on the rancher. All right. So listen, first of all, I'm not, guys, I've got a lot of you here in the room, and we're not going anywhere until I find out if we've got even an invitation over to the Pontiff. So I am not taking my 128 people over there unless I'm invited. So I guess I am, because there's a link.
When you ving upon a star.
Hold on, Clyde, I'm going to send you the link. I'll put it in the Cardinals. Give me a second. Hold on. Nobody move. Where are we? Where is the Cardinals? WhatsApp. There we go. Okay, hold on. All right. Well, wait. Is that the same? What the hell is that?
No. I guess there'll be no mention of watches for 20 minutes.
Hold on.
Big black clock.
I don't know if he sent me this link or he didn't. I think he did. I think he sent me a link.
I thought he pinched the link.
But it looks like his link hasn't changed from the other day. Like, doesn't the link always change? All right, I don't know. I'll find out if it's the same link. I'm unsure.
Oh, hold on.
Dear God. See if that's, just click it up and tell me if that's the link, Clydesy.
Hold it.
Guys, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Let's meet over at the Ranchers. Just remember to please like.
No, we're not meeting now.
And Rancher, I'll meet you over there just for a couple minutes. I don't want to stay too long.
Well,
Jim,
in this case, I will watch. And this way, since we coordinate it, when you rub the mug, then I'll appear. See, that's how it works.
The mug's in a cabinet, Clyde. You don't make.
Go get the fucking mug. Go get the fucking mug, mother.
All right, I'll do my best.
Right.
Jen, thank you for joining us. The Rancher, always a pleasure. You lose me subscribers, but I love you nonetheless. Why do you people quit every time?
A link to GMD.
Every time Rancher comes on, I don't understand it. I love the Rancher. Why don't you? Rancher, what is it about you? We'll see you guys in the next one.
A link to Jim. What's GMDR?
I think he's gone. I think we're off the air. Or he's left us on the air and we're still.
Archie has no friends. McKinley, I think that's been brought up before.
So he just left his own channel and we're still streaming, I guess.
Yep.
I didn't even know this was possible. But
Grinder.
Apparently with enough technological ineptitude, it is.
No, Grinder.
Okay,
is
but
is that the F for God's chosen people? You know, the gays?
Not only is it possible, but when you're drinking, it's probable that I will forget to hit the end broadcast button. I will hit the leave studio button, leaving you two miscreants to mock me on my own channel. Who has a final word to say before I push the actual end broadcast?
Like, subscribe.
I do it every goddamn time.
All right.
Like, subscribe, and tell your fuckhead friends.
Please contribute heavily to the dog food fund.
You know what's really, really sad is, basically you two are my only fucking. You two represent an inordinate percentage of my actual friends. It's really bizarre. Jen, answer me a quick question. What do you think the percentage probability is that when I finally hook up and get together with Clyde in person, that he's wearing toe shoes? What do you think the chances are?
I'm not sure I would use the word hook up, but
yeah, I meant get together with. I didn't mean.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's. I would say 50-50. Depends on the day of the week.
I like the toe shoes.
If it's a weekend, I would say more like 80%.
I would agree with that. Yes.
People, I found the end broadcast button. I'm going to hit it right now, and then we're going to run over there to the We're going to run over there to the Minotaur, and we're going to make fun of him. Who's with me? Let's do.